Antthony Richardson has a lot of doubters. So he goes to the combine. He comes in at 6'4", 244 pounds. He runs a 4.43 in the 40-yard dash. He crushes the broad and vertical jump, and everybody goes, ooh, this guy is incredible. And then people start to say, but what about the film? And you go and you watch his last season at Florida, and his tape is all over the place. On one hand, you see a guy who has all the physical traits to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Live arm, freak athleticism, hard to bring down in the open field. If you go back and you watch that game against Utah, you would think that this guy is a superstar. And then you start to see a lot of the negatives when it comes to AR's game. He has spotty accuracy. His mechanics need a lot of improvement, and he struggles to read coverages. Now, when you look at quarterbacks who get drafted in the first round of the draft, normally it's for two reasons. Either one, they're pro ready and ready to come in and start from day one like Joe Burrow, or two, there's somebody who isn't ready to start day one and they need a year or two of development. But they do have all the intangibles and the traits to be a good quarterback. Antthony Richardson falls into that second group of quarterbacks. He has a lot of upside. However, he's a boom or bust prospect because you don't know if he's going to be able to reach that potential in the NFL. You see, we use Josh Allen as an example of guys who weren't really all that great in college and had a lot to work on going into the NFL. And then Josh Allen gets Brian Daboll. He ends up becoming one of the best QBs in the game. But at the same time, for every Josh Allen, you have a Jamarcus Russell and a Zach Wilson. Guys who have incredible arm strength, good athleticism, but struggle to put it all together at the next level. When it comes to Antthony Richardson, if you're a doubter or a critic, you have every right to question Antthony Richardson and his ability to succeed as a quarterback in the NFL. But at the same time, though, I don't think enough people are talking about what happens if Antthony Richardson puts it all together. If Antthony Richardson improves his accuracy and his footwork, this guy without a doubt is probably going to end up being one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the game. And for that to happen, he has to go to the right situation. You see, how successful a quarterback isn't all on him. It's also about the situation that he gets drafted to. Is he going to an organization that has a stable front office? Is he going to go to a team that's going to be committed to building around him? Is he going to go to a head coach or offensive coordinator that's going to put him in the proper offense to succeed? These are the things that are going to determine how successful Antthony Richardson is going to be in the National Football League. If he goes to the Seattle Seahawks where he doesn't have to start day one and he can learn from Geno Smith for a year or two, that's going to increase his chances at being successful. Last season was pretty much his first year starting full-time at quarterback for the Gators. So he still has a lot of room to grow as a quarterback. And yeah, you would have loved if he would have came back for another year and then he would have 2 years of college experience under his belt, which would make the transition to the NFL much smoother. But with every quarterback that has this kind of athleticism, it seems like there are always going to be questions about their ability to throw the football at the next level. You see, people had these similar concerns about Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts when they were coming out as prospects. And although Hurts and Jackson are way better prospects coming out than what Antthony Richardson is right now, there were people who were saying that Lamar Jackson should change to receiver or running back when he was coming into the draft. There are people that said, yeah, Jalen Hurts is a good runner, but is he going to be able to have success throwing the ball in the NFL? those two guys went to good organizations with good head coaches, and they were put in a system that maximized their strengths. And they ended up developing into some of the best quarterbacks in the game. Same thing with Josh Allen. If Antthony Richardson can go to a Seattle, or hell, even Las Vegas. I know many of you guys may not be the biggest believers in Josh McDaniels, but Josh McDaniels, the guy knows offense. You remember what Cam Newton did when he was with the New England Patriots before he went down with COVID? He was cooking. Josh McDaniels, he was able to design the quarterback around Cam Newton's abilities. And we kind of question, how is it going to work? Considering the fact that the Patriots have never really had a quarterback that has had the skill set of a Cam Newton, and it somewhat was successful. You give Antthony Richardson to the Raiders with Devontae Adams, Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs, Sterling Renfro, I think he could work there. And plus, if they end up bringing in a vet via free agency like Jimmy Garoppolo, if they bring back Jarrett Stidham, then there's not going to be a lot of pressure on Antthony Richardson to have to start right away. Now, if he goes to the Raiders, he may have to be thrown to the wolves a little bit sooner than what you would like compared to if he was to go to Seattle. But at the same time, though, I still feel like he can be successful with the Raiders and with Seattle. He also could have success with Indianapolis. Shane Steichen is the current head coach of Indianapolis. He previously was the Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator. He was the guy who helped elevate Jalen Hurts to the quarterback that he is now. And if he could help Jalen Hurts develop, why can't he do the same thing for Antthony Richardson, a guy who has somewhat of a similar skill set, but a lot more athletic? Antthony Richardson doubters have every reason to question how good this guy is going to be in the NFL. But at the same time, though, when it comes to determining how good a quarterback is going to be, it's not just solely based on him, it's also based on the situation that he gets drafted into. Antthony Richardson, when it comes to intangibles, he has everything that you look for in the franchise quarterback. The guy is dedicated. He's a footballaholic, if that's even the word. I know a lot of people at my school who actually know Antthony Richardson personally. They either went to school with him, played football with him, and every time they talk about Antthony Richardson, the first thing that they always talk about is how good of a guy he is. He doesn't get into any issues off the field. As a matter of fact, there were a couple of instances where I was scrolling down my Twitter feed during the college football season, and I would see people taking videos of Antthony Richardson staying several hours after games were over, either throwing the football around with fans or signing autographs. So this guy is a fantastic person to have in your locker room. He's going to be driven. He's going to be dedicated. You know that he's going to put the time and work in to becoming a good NFL quarterback. I don't have those same issues with the Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. When you're looking for a guy who's going to lead your franchise, you can't overlook the intangibles. And Antthony Richardson checks those boxes. Meanwhile, you look at a guy like Will Levis, I don't really know if the work ethic is there. People question that. I don't know if Will Levis is a great leader. You look at Antthony Richardson, when it comes to the intangibles, he has that. Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf, when you look at guys who have been NFL bust or have crashed out in the NFL after being successful college quarterbacks, a lot of it has come down to the fact that they didn't have the intangibles. They didn't have the kind of work ethic and dedication that it takes to be a great quarterback in the National Football League. Antthony Richardson has those things. And I'm not just assuming that he has those things. I've been told that he has these qualities by people that know Antthony Richardson personally. Listen, I'm not saying that Antthony Richardson is going to be successful, but I am saying that if he goes to the right situation with the right team, this guy can really cook. And truthfully, if you were to ask me right now, JT, just Give us a prediction. Do you think Antthony Richardson is going to be a bust or not? I would tell you no. I actually confidently believe that Antthony Richardson is going to be a great quarterback at the next level. Accuracy, footwork, the ability to read coverages, all that can be improved with coaching. It's just the question is Antthony Richardson going to receive the proper coaching that can help him put it all together and help him blossom into one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL? Patrick Mahomes coming out of Texas Tech, he was somebody who was viewed as a boom or bust player. He goes to Kansas City, sits behind Alex Smith for 1 year, and then they trade away Alex Smith. Patrick Mahomes ends up becoming one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of this game. Same thing with Deshaun Watson. Same thing with countless other quarterbacks. Nobody comes into the NFL a completely polished product. Everybody kind of goes through a little bit of a transitional period when they first get into the league. It's all about patience, where you go to, and at the same time, does that quarterback that you drafted in the first round have the intangibles that it takes to be successful in the National Football League?